Hi guys, welcome back to my channel where we like to talk about books, movies, and TV shows and everything in between. This of course is MCU Phase 3 Part 2 because I had to split it up into parts because honestly it would have been like over an hour long, I think, probably approximately. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. What movies am I talking about in this video? I'm talking about Spiderman Homecoming, I'm talking about Thor Ragnarok, and I'm talking about Black Panther. We're going to go over those three films. Remember, this is a surface level recap. Surface level. Let's get started with Spider-Man Homecoming. We did it, guys. Spider-Man's in the MCU. I don't know how, but we did it. We finally get our new Spider-Man, Tom Holland. Personally, I think he's an incredible Spider-Man, and Peter Parker, he does a great job. Hopefully he's going to still be in a lot more MCU movies. I think after the success of Spider-Man No Way Home, I think Sony is liking the future of how much money they're making with Spider-Man, if you know what I mean. So yeah, what's going on with this Spider-Man? He's in high school. He looks like he's in high school, which is a great thing. You remember the other two Spider-Man? They didn't look like they were in high school. They looked like they had eaten high schoolers for breakfast. Peter Parker, he's in high school. He's smart. He's savvy. He's scientific. But we don't get the origin story that we think we're gonna get for this Spider-Man. He has his Aunt May, played by Marissa Tomei. We love her. And this is right after Civil War, so he's already done some stuff for Tony, been on his team, and he's trying to figure out how to be Spider-Man with this super new cool suit that he has from Tony, and how to be Spider-Man without the suit. That's his whole learning curve. And at the same time, he's trying to traverse high school. So he's part of the academic decathlon at his school, and he goes and he's like, well, I have an internship with Tony Stark, and he's saying that so he can fight crime in New York. So, I mean, he does a good job at it, but also there's some stuff going on. There's this dude who was like a cleanup man in New York or something like that, right after the Battle of New York, and he starts taking alien tech. Over the years, he makes alien weapons, armor, stuff like that, and it's pretty crazy. He makes a lot of money from that, doing black market deals. He keeps that secret from his family, but he becomes the villain of this piece. So with this whole hubbub going of this secret black market dealer, of just making some bad choices and becoming enemy number one with Spider-Man and vice versa, Peter tries to be the good person, tries to save New York from these horrible things, from these horrible deals, weapons, all this stuff. There's all these fights that break up between Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, that's his name, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man. In the end, we see the girl that Peter has been crushing on so hard is Adrian Toomes' daughter. Adrian sees, oh, Spider-Man's actually a kid, and it's Peter. And he's like, I don't want to hurt you, Peter, all this stuff. But inevitably, Peter's like, I gotta be the bigger person. I gotta save the world. He does. He doesn't kill Vulture. He doesn't kill Adrian. He puts him in jail, which is a different take from our past Spider-Mans. Very interesting. There's no killing of the villain. And I think that says a lot about this Peter, and we will see that in the next phase in Peter's continuation of his story. So at the same time as this is all happening, he and Tony have this, what is being perceived as a mentorship, feels more like a father-son relationship, which Peter doesn't have a father in his life. And it's so interesting to see that reoccurring theme of found family. Even though the biological father, is absent, Tony takes up this mantle, and that really contributes to his father, that father-son tension that he had with his father, and what he's gonna be, seen as whenever he has kids, or if Peter is his only outlet for having a son-like figure. So we get that with Peter. He's growing up. He's trying to figure out how he and Spider-Man are meant to live together. He kind of falls in the same footsteps as Tony Stark and Iron Man, that whole debacle with that relationship between the two entities. That's the whole thing with Spider-Man. We see a bunch going on. We get a very good introduction into Peter's life, and at the end we do get Aunt May figuring out that Peter is actually Spider-Man. So That was keeping a secret from her, but she eventually finds out. What do we get from this movie? We get Peter, of course. We get Aunt May, and she's by herself. There's no Uncle Ben. So, which is great, because if we have to see another Uncle Ben death, it'll be too soon. We've seen too many of those, okay? So we get Peter Parker, Aunt May, we get Ned, we get Michelle, who we found out at the end, she actually likes her friends to call her MJ. So that was a fun little treat. We get the relationship between Tony and Peter, and we get a little glimpse of Tony and Pepper are finally engaged. He finally is like, yeah, cool, let's get engaged. Very impromptu moment that happens in the film, but really good. And we see Peter beginning to take responsibility and maturity with his actions. So, great start to the Spider-Man trilogy, actually. So yeah, let's go on to the next movie. So, the next movie is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is number 3 in the Thor trilogy, or saga actually, because the 4th one's coming out this summer. This has to be one of my favorites of the Thor saga. Can't speak for the next one because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure it'll be pretty awesome. Taika Waititi is now in this whole universe. Proves himself to be a fantastic director. There's a little 80s synth pop, fantasy, sci-fi, has given a twist to the Thor franchise. It's really nice. It's so refreshing. What are we to expect in Thor Ragnarok? What's going on in this movie? Yeah, we haven't seen Thor since the Battle of Sokovia. So he's been traversing the galaxy. We first see him. He's been imprisoned with, this fire guy. I'm giving a surface level. I know his name is Surtur, but he's a fire guy. He's a horned fire guy. Looks like a depiction of what you see of Satan, basically, or a Balrog from Lord of the Rings. Thor escapes with a great victory. There's a little taste of what Surtur says, cannot pronounce his name, about Ragnarok, and we're like, whoa, Ragnarok? What? So this whole battle, I guess, in the beginning is kind of like the downhill excursion of Ragnarok, basically. Thor goes back home to Asgard with Surtur's crown, which he does prophesize Ragnarok if, his crown gets reunited with the eternal flame that Odin has in his treasure vault or whatever. Then Ragnarok will happen, basically, which is the destruction of Asgard. It's very different in Norse mythology, though. It's more of the destruction of the entire world, but it's the destruction of Asgard in these films. So he goes back to Asgard with the crown, and basically is like, you're not Odin. Loki, you're just posing as Odin. Whoa. And so they figured that out, and now Thor's like, where's our dad? And so they go down to Earth to see where their dad is at. Turns out he's been just chilling by the seaside, by what looks like Scandinavian countryside. I mean, it's beautiful, but he knows he's gonna die very soon. He's just gonna wither away. And he does. And before he does, he gives a very sentimental talk to his 2 sons and regards them as his 2 sons, which is so nice to hear, I bet, on Loki's end, because Loki's like, wow, my dad just called me his son, kind of thing. Crazy, right? So that whole thing happens with their conversation. But after Odin dies, we get a surprise visit from Odin's long-lost daughter, older daughter, who has the rightful heir to the throne, Hela. Now, Hela was there way before Thor and Loki. She just wants Asgard. She wants every bit, but she is tyrannical. And so she ends up getting Asgard and taking over it and ousting Thor and Loki. A bunch of Asgardians, they just flee and try and hide with Heimdall guarding them, basically. She's wreaking havoc. She's killing people in Asgard who don't align with her beliefs. We get Hela, she's taken over Asgard. Thor and Loki are ousted, so they both crash land on this planet called Sakaar in different times and places, kind of. The only way I can describe this place is like if the combination between the fighting pit from Spy Kids 3D and a garbage planet had a baby. Thor gets captured and taken to a man named Grandmaster and is sold as a gladiator, I guess you could say. And Loki's there with the Grandmaster and has been there for a little bit longer than Thor has, because of time. There's wormholes that are surrounding the planet, so time moves differently through the wormholes. Loki ends up on the Grandmaster's good graces and doesn't become a gladiator, but just because he's sneaky and mischievous. And so Thor becomes a gladiator, And turns out he fights Hulk. That's where Hulk was. He crash landed on Sakaar, and he became a gladiator. Basically, they get together afterwards. Bruce can't get out of Hulk form, but somehow he does. And so Bruce and Thor want to find a place out of there because they know, Thor's like, I want Asgard to be safe again. My sister's taken over. And just, Bruce is just, what he is, he doesn't understand what's going on. He's only been on Earth. He hasn't been anywhere else in the galaxy. So finally, when he is, on this planet and he's, he's just tweaking out, they have to get Loki's help. And Thor and Bruce, I almost called him the Hulk. Bruce is like, no, Loki's bad news. Okay, remember that one time you tried to kill everyone on Earth and try to kill us? And then there's all these stories. But then they also get the help of a woman, very kind woman, who used to be a Valkyrie for Asgard, but she wanted out. She was disgraced, but she knows of Hela. And so after commandeering a ship and getting back to Asgard through one of the wormholes, which is named the Devil's Anus because it's the shortest way back to Asgard, they finally defeat Hela with the help of the crown of Surtur putting into the eternal flame and just completely destroying Asgard. But all the people from Asgard are safely on a ship, and they get away from Asgard, and they have to find a new home. But unfortunately, they have been stopped by Thanos, and it's not good. It's not good. That's basically the end of what happens. They're stopped by Thanos, and we'll see what happens with the rest of that, though, in a later film. But that's really the gist of Thor Ragnarok. A lot of fun things happen. It's an entire party in itself, but also really dark in some places. But what we have to remember is our key cast of characters. Thor, Loki, Korg is there now. He's fun. Valkyrie, she's fun. Heimdall, the whole lot of them. And the Asgardians are no longer in Asgard, so new phone, who dis? Right? Okay, let's go on to the next film, which is Black Panther. Another origin story of a new character we're so excited for. So the last time we saw this character was in Captain America Civil War. His dad had died from a bombing. T'Challa. T'Challa is now the new king. Or he is about to be. There's some ceremonial stuff that needs to happen. So let's get started. So what is Wakanda? Wakanda is just this small little African country that turns out to be one of the richest countries in the world because it has vibranium. Vibranium is just this substance that came from space and just found its way. I mean, they were still digging it up in this movie thousands of years later. They're a very technologically advanced country, which is incredible to see. A lot of things are going on. I mean, just so many, like, they have a whole entire shield that makes it look like they're a poor country on the outside. Super wild. But anyway, so they have a bunch of resources. And T'Challa, he's a little iffy on sharing the resources to the world. So his girl, Nakia, she's like, well, we could share our resources with the world because the world needs our resources. Like, we can share it. And that's a little iffy. But then comes along his long-lost cousin, which happened to be his father's brother's son, who lived in America. And he's like, no, I want to be the rightful king. Challenges T'Challa in a match and actually becomes a king, kills T'Challa. So Eric, who's his cousin, basically kills him, and he's taken in by another tribe in Africa. A tribe in Wakanda. I mean, they're in Africa, but in Wakanda that isn't really, like, under the Wakandan king. They want to be separate, but they're nice, and they bring him to safety. So his mother, Ramonda, and his sister Shuri, they have the special plant that each king eats, before they become king. And so he eats that, or they put it into his mouth. Really drink it. It's more of a drink than anything. And he regains his power back. So we see him and his cousin go into an all-out brawl, as well as a lot of other tribes going into an all-out brawl. And in the end, T'Challa kills his cousin, but he wounds him and is like, hey, we can help you. And his cousin's like, no, just let me die. Which is very sad. But his cousin basically wanted the same thing as what Nakia wanted, is to share the resources, because Wakanda, as a super rich country, has so many great things that they can offer to the world. And so he sees the extreme from what Eric wanted, because Eric was he liked the taste of blood. He really had a hankering for it, to kill people. And Nakia had more of a peaceful, pacifistic, but also, not really super pacifistic, just she was a warrior as well, but having that more gracious style. And so T'Challa kind of saw both sides, but also saw that there was a happy medium, and decided to begin sharing with the world what Wakanda's powers are and what they can offer. And that's where we get to the end of the movie. But a lot of stuff, of course, happens. We see what vibranium can do. It can be woven into clothes and become shields. It can be forged into weapons. It can be made into suits like T'Challa's is. We see Claw again, of course, from Age of Ultron, but he dies in this. We also meet a CIA agent, Everett Ross, but Ross helps out, but he gets really injured in the line of fire when he was trying to protect Nakia. So they bring him back. They're like, T'Challa's like, yeah, you're a hero. Thank you for helping. We're going to help fix you. And so he becomes a friend to Wakanda, to T'Challa and Shuri, Ramonda, and them. He helps get Wakanda back on track to rally behind T'Challa instead of Eric, because Eric is gonna just put everything into chaos. So that's mainly what's going down. There's a lot of black market dealings of vibranium that we kind of see, a lot of fighting going on. There's a bunch of it had to do with Claw. He's gone now. We don't have to worry about him. But we also get more of the family tree with T'Chaka's brother, N'Jobu, who is Eric's dad. And an important thing that we see is Shuri helping Bucky. But really the entire gist of what we need to remember is, of course, T'Challa, Shuri, Ramonda, Nakia. She didn't show up yet again, but we do get Okoye, which is part of the Dora Milaje, which we do see more of them. They're awesome. We get a lot of good information in this movie, and it really helps set up what we might see in the next phase. So that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more and want to be notified when the next video comes out, which will be starting on the Infinity War circuit. So get ready to cry. Yeah. But yeah, that's that's about it. I'll see you guys later. Have a nice day. Bye.